How's it everyone, Grant here, welcome back to the channel. And I've got the OnePlus 6 here in silk white. I'm actually using the video and audio from the front-facing cameras here to film this part of the video. I've had this for about a couple of days now, so let's go ahead and unbox it and I'll let you know what I think about it.
Let's begin, pal.
Alright, so I've kind of just ran through the unboxing and I've got it all set up here. So I've got some screenshots because I've been using this for a couple of days now. This is what it looked like out of the box. So this is the default launcher and what it looked like. It was running Oxygen OS 5.1.0 with Android 8.1 and the April 1st security patch. I've gotten about maybe 3 updates since I've unboxed this thing, and so I'll get through that a little bit later. But this is what it was running out of the box. It was only taking up about 2 gigs of storage. I have the 128 gig model, so very light footprint on Oxygen OS, pretty much stock Android there. And you can see the memory usage and of course the Android 8.1 Easter egg there. So that's pretty much what it was running out of the box, and I've got it all set up here. Like I said, I've been using it for a couple of days now. And so I just wanted to give you my first impressions after using it off and on over that period of time. So as you can see, I've got the silk white version here. I'm sure you've seen a lot of video and photos of this color online, but I'm going to show it to you here anyway. And it is definitely that pearlescent kind of color that people are talking about. And certain light and reflection, it kind of has that kind of pearl-ish reflection, and probably can't see it here on camera, but it is something very unique. And I got the white version because it was going to be a matte color like this, and I knew it wouldn't leave any kind of fingerprints. And I know most people say you're probably going to use a case anyway, and that's true, but a lot of times I actually use it without the case because I want to actually use it as it's designed, and I just want to be able to see it and hold it and touch it. And so having something with a matte back finish that doesn't pick up fingerprints is definitely a nice touch. You can see they're designed by OnePlus on the bottom. And of course, you still have the headphone jack Type-C port, single firing speaker there. And the fingerprint sensor, very nicely colored in rose gold copperish color there to match the color scheme. So very nice touch there. The dual camera system with that kind of gold trim around it, as you can see there. And the alert slider, famed alert slider on the right hand side. I still love the alert slider, it's nicely ridged there. And you've got the power button, volume rockers, secondary mic, and that's pretty much it. And so you can see there, I've got the notch on, but you can't really see it because I've got a black wallpaper there. Shout out to Dub Nation. And that's pretty much how I have it set up. And so design-wise, it's pretty much what I expect from OnePlus. It feels like a OnePlus device. It kind of feels like that 5 or 5T, very thin. And I do like this white pearlescent matte back finish, like I said. I wasn't sure how I feel about this rose gold copper trim with that black front. I think it's growing on me, but I would expect a white face with that kind of color scheme. But I know a lot of people like it. I think the white looks nice. The rose gold / copper with the black face is still kind of growing on me. But overall, definitely a nice device here. And I really do like it. It feels nice to hold because of the curved edges there. So, and of course that elongated 18:9 display makes it much more narrow and easier to hold in one hand. So overall design-wise, definitely looks very nice, as expected from OnePlus here. Definitely feels very quote-unquote premium, feels very nice, looks very nice, has a good feel to it. And you're definitely not getting what feels like a cheap device. It definitely feels like a high-end phone. So very good there by OnePlus. And so I can open up something with a white background here like the browser. And so you can see it's really, really bright. And so from an overall color and brightness perspective, this is a very nice display panel. I have no complaints about that. And from a sharpness and resolution standpoint, you know, 1080p may help conserve that power, but I do also agree that it should have had a Quad HD display, or I would prefer a Quad HD display, because to me, it's not quite as sharp as some 1440p displays, and most people say you can't tell, and I can actually tell. Coming from a 1440p display, moving to a 1080p display like this, immediately I can tell. And so it's not quite as sharp, but I'm really happy from a brightness and color standpoint on this display. So overall, it's a very nice panel. I just wish it was a little bit sharper and had a little bit more pixel density, a little bit higher resolution to it. And as far as performance goes, this thing is absolutely fast and fluid as you expect from OnePlus. This thing absolutely flies. You can see here in Twitter with all this media is just scrolling very, very smoothly. I don't really see any kind of a hiccup at all. I don't really game, so I can't speak to that, but just day-to-day performance and just using it, it's very fast and very fluid. I don't have any complaints. Snapdragon 845, 8 gigs of RAM, combined with stock Android and OnePlus's software optimization. This thing, as you would expect, performs very, very well. I'll throw up some benchmark scores so you can see those, but if you're interested in that. But all those numbers really mean is that this thing is absolutely fast, fluid, and absolutely just screams and just flies from a performance standpoint. And then speaking of software, it's pretty much stock Android Oxygen OS with a few bells and whistles and customizations that OnePlus will add into here. Like I said, I've gotten about 3 different system updates and one's pending right there right now. I've got version 5.17, I think version 5.18 is ready for me to load right now. So I've gotten several different updates here. You can see it's now on the May security patch. And so they've been pushing out updates regularly, and you can look at this as a glass half empty or glass half full. So glass half full is, it's great that they're pushing out speedy updates and constantly trying to add features and improve bug fixes and all that, and constantly supporting and updating their phone. And you can look at it from a glass half empty standpoint by saying, well, those features should have been there from day one. They shouldn't have had those bugs. But all I know is in the time that I've had it, I really haven't experienced any kind of bugs or really major issues just yet. And it could be because they've been pushing out these fixes, I don't know. But all I know is that the experience so far has been very nice. Like I said, performance has been great, and everything else about it has been really nice. So software, pretty much stock Android. They are pushing out a bunch of updates, and it's up to you how you want to view that. If you want a device that's ready to go from day one and you don't want to have to worry about stability and bugs and all that kind of stuff, a device like this probably isn't for you, but you're probably a phone nerd like me and you're into this kind of stuff and you don't mind that, and you're willing to put up with some of that kind of evolution of the device as you own it. And so I think that's really just the new software model, especially for some of these smaller companies. Essential's been doing it, Razer has been doing it, OnePlus has always been doing that with their latest models. And so that's just the new model nowadays. Get the hardware out there as fast as possible and continue to improve it and support it over the life of that device. And you're just going to have to be someone who is accepting of that type of ongoing improvements. And also, as far as software, they've added gesture support, so I don't have the nav bar at the bottom. I've gone to the gesture motions for navigating around. And other than the notch, that's something that's a bit of controversy because it's pretty much feeling more and more like an iOS device. You've got the notch, it looks like the iPhone 10, so to speak. These gestures are very much like the iPhone 10 based gestures. But that's where Android's going. They're built into the next version of Android, Android P. And so other manufacturers are starting to adopt this. And I actually kind of like it. I have an iPhone 10. I like my iPhone 10. I'm used to the swiping gestures there. So I haven't had much of a learning curve as far as going towards gesture-based navigation for me. I actually kind of prefer it because I get full screen real estate. I don't have the navigation bar at the bottom. And it's just gestures that I'm used to. So the only thing is maybe the swipe up to activate the recents menu. It's a more deliberate swipe because when you swipe up, you also have the app drawer. So you just have to have a more deliberate swipe up from the bottom and hold to activate your recents, more so than maybe an iOS and iPhone 10. But that's the only gesture I've had to get a little bit more used to. Swiping to go home and then swiping to go back. I haven't had any kind of a problem with that. So gesture-based navigation, I actually prefer it. You may not like it, but that is definitely something they've added here in the OnePlus 6. Other things like battery life is way too early to judge. I've been using kind of off and on for a couple days, and I've been taking a lot of photos and video to do a bunch of camera comparisons. So I haven't used this at all in a normal fashion. So battery life, too close to call or too early to call. So I'll update on battery life as I settle into using it more as my daily device. And speaking of cameras and taking a lot of photos and videos for some upcoming camera comparison videos, the camera has actually probably exceeded my expectation. I had some pretty high expectations for the OnePlus 6 cameras just because they were so good on the OnePlus 5. Now, they weren't the best on the OnePlus 5, like they weren't the best at any one particular thing, which is why I didn't use them as much because I had other devices that did better still photos like the Pixel 2 or the regular Pixel at the time. I had other devices that did better video like the S8 for rear camera, better phones that did front-facing video like the U11 at the time. So I never really used the OnePlus 5 cameras a lot just because I had other phones that did different aspects of camera work better than it. But as an overall package, the OnePlus 5 cameras were really good. And I think so far, the OnePlus 6 cameras overall, front cameras, rear cameras, shooting photos and videos in good light, low light, portrait mode, have all been pretty good and definitely exceeded my expectations. The rear-facing stills are coming up pretty good. Portrait mode on the rear has been pretty good as well, in both good light and low light. Video has been pretty good. You saw some front-facing video at the beginning of this particular video here, so you saw some of the quality there. The only thing maybe is the front-facing portrait mode. Now, they just added that in a recent update, and so that's probably not on par with their rear-facing portrait mode. It takes me several shots to get a portrait mode from the front-facing camera that I like, either because the edge detection isn't very good or the background blur isn't as even. But you can get some pretty good portrait mode from the front-facing cameras, just not as consistent as the rear camera just yet. So hopefully with all these updates that they're producing for the phone, they can continue to improve the front-facing portrait mode. And then as far as other things like audio, it's got that single firing bottom speaker here. And while it's not the best speaker as far as fidelity and richness, it is very loud, but coming from dual firing speakers from the iPhone X, the S9, S9 Plus, and now the U12 Plus, all those set of speakers sound better than this single firing speaker here. But it is very loud, so if you just want a loud speaker, it is pretty loud. It's just not going to have the fidelity and richness and overall sound like those phones that I just mentioned have. But it is a pretty loud speaker for being a single firing speaker. Internal audio, still has a 3.5mm headphone jack, and OnePlus wired audio has always been pretty good. And so far from what I heard out of this, it's pretty good. I want to listen to it more to try to open it up some more and get a better overall feel for it. But so far, wired audio, as you would expect from OnePlus, is actually pretty good. And lastly, as far as connectivity around calling and messaging and all that kind of stuff, I haven't used this as my primary phone just yet. And so I haven't done a lot of calls or taken a lot of text messages on it. So I can't really comment on that yet, but I will update you as I use the phone, and definitely for the full review on this thing as I use it more as my primary phone. So I think that's pretty much going to do it for this video. That's kind of my experience after using the phone off and on for a couple of days here. I just wanted to give you my first impressions of using the OnePlus 6. And so far, overall, it's pretty much what I expected. It's a very good device, very good looking device, fast, fluid performer. Cameras are a little bit better than I expected as well. Look out for some upcoming camera comparison videos that will include the OnePlus 6, so you'll get a better idea for the camera quality there. But of course, if you have any other questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. I'll do my best to answer whatever questions you may have. And as always, thanks for watching.